Welcome everybody, thanks for coming out this evening. I know y'all had like all sorts of other things to do. The last thing you want to do is come to a city council meeting, but here you are. So we're here for the city council regular meeting of May 17. I will ask y'all that if you've got something like this that rings or vibrates or whatever, put it on vibrate so that you don't disrupt the meeting. And if you feel the need to have a secondary conversation, I would suggest you get away from the microphones because they'll pick up everything you say. No, go outside or step over here so you don't disrupt the meeting, please. So with that, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Robson, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She told me I was going to do it tonight. All right, so next item, announcements, presentations. Travis, I don't believe we have any. Very good, thank you. Staff action items under City Clerk. We have approval of minutes for the City Council public hearing work session of April 14, 2016.
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this item? We have motion second then to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. Whew, man, it got really quiet in here. Next item, A1B, is approval of minutes for City Council called meeting of April 19, 2016.
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second again.
I don't know that I've ever heard a second again, but that's as good as a second. Is there any discussion? All right, so we have motion second then to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. The next item, A1C, which is City Council, the minutes of the City Council regular meeting of April 19, 2016.
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
I like this, I just have to look down one more. All right, so do we have any discussion? We have a motion second then to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. All right, B, City Manager, we have confirmation of employment of a Parks and Recreation Director.
Motion to approve the city manager's nomination for the Parks and Recreation Director.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Okay, we have a motion second then to approve the recommendation of the city manager for the Parks and Recreation Director. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. Development Department, 1, we have consideration rezoning request 3113 Catalina Drive et al., Chamblee Village Park.
Motion to defer until the June council meeting.
Second. Discussion?
One. That was at the request of the applicant. They wanted some additional time to meet and see if there was some other things they could do.
Very good.
Mayor Clarkson, can you confirm who received the second on that? I'm sorry.
That was Councilmember Hogan.
Thank you.
Just a second, is there any discussion on this? So we have a motion and a second then for deferral till the June work session. All those in favor? 4 opposed? Others opposed? That will be deferred. Then 2, we have consideration rezoning request 3413 Catalina Drive et al., Chamblee Village Park, with a list of several variances going A through J.
Motion to defer until the June council meeting work session for the applicant's request.
Second.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this item? All right, so I have a motion second then to defer this till the June work session. All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, very good. Moving right along. Number 3, underneath Development Department, we have consideration of development of community impact, which is 5208 Peachtree Boulevard storage. Yeah.
Critical distinctions.
Not all at once.
Motion to approve this application with the with points 1 and 2 as proposed by the Development Department. And in addition, the third condition will be that the applicant installs the equipment needed to put a restaurant in on the corner, one of the 2 corners of the building.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Is there viability there for a restaurant, or is anything come through?
Of course there's viability. What do you mean, is anything?
I'm wondering if there's something specific you
No.
have in mind related to that.
Nothing specific, but it would be easier to put in the requisite skeleton and not have to go back and put it in later. And it would also encourage the builder to look for a restaurant to go in. Restaurant, sandwich shop, and coffee shop.
I appreciate what you're doing, but I don't think anybody's going to put a nice restaurant inside a self-storage facility like this.
Well, we've got an applicant that's putting a restaurant on the bottom floor of the self-storage thing on Savoy Drive.
Looks a little different.
Yeah,
So,
I don't see how it's different. This is this self-storage unit is on the corner of Sexton Woods Drive and Peachtree Boulevard. It is a much more traveled, much more populated street than Savoy Drive is.
if I may, I apologize, I got a little bit ahead of myself and I was actually looking at Will Ross Court. Framed my question, which might make a little bit more sense as to why I asked it. I had some discussions with Ms. Sellers, counsel for the applicant today, regarding making the space more viable for a restaurant. One of the challenges is that it is so shallow, being just 20.5 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
And she was willing to, the applicant seemed willing to design the building in a way such that the 30-foot storage space behind could be converted to additional space should a need arise.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially by making sure the structural components would allow for that type of expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And also with regards to the grease trap, they will be leaving room for a grease trap in the street that was shown on their site plan and running essentially a grease trap line
Mm-hmm.
to the building.
Mm-hmm.
Upon further discussion, the building is actually on a basement foundation. So if they were to run it to an individual space later on, they would be able to do that without ripping up concrete or anything like that, just running through some of the air, so to speak.
Then I'm willing to drop the word on the corner from the condition, but it sounds like they're going to meet the conditions otherwise. Correct? Okay.
Is that a fair
So
statement?
I'll restate the motion. Then the motion then before us is that the approval of the, oops, sorry, I turned the page myself. Approval of the development community impact for 5208 Peachtree Boulevard storage with conditions 1 and 2 as recommended by staff, and a third condition added that there be made space for, or the appointments been put in for a restaurant on the first floor. All those in favor? 1 opposed? 1,
Aye.
2.
Can I have for a substitute motion? Is it too late?
Well, since we don't have a full vote, go ahead and opt to substitute motion, or we can vote this one down and move on with another motion. Let's vote this one down since I already started. I called the question. All those in favor? 1 opposed? 4. Okay. Gary makes substitute motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve 2016 DCIO 35208 Peachtree Boulevard, subject to the staff conditions 1 and 2, with the following additional condition: that the storage space located behind the retail space be designed in such a way that the retail space could be expanded in the future if needed.
Is there a second?
On the corner.
Is there a second? No? Anyone else care to take this one up?
Second.
Oh, there we go. Discussion?
So you don't want to include, or you're willing to not include any structure for a restaurant?
The grease trap line to the building is already included. Since it's on a basement, they can run it. So that would actually allow you depth to place a restaurant. With 20 feet of depth, you can't really place a restaurant without taking half your street frontage.
Does a storage unit there, and I don't know, does a storage unit require any kind of venting going up through the building? Because it's much easier to put that venting in at construction.
Agreed, but it's a storage unit, so it's pretty easy to run through the floor system at any time. You're not looking out the field system. You can run it through any corner.
You're right. Very good. Any other discussion? we have a motion and a second then, as I understand it, to approve the development of community impact at 5208 Peachtree Boulevard storage, with the conditions that Councilmember Usman pointed out, and we'll have prepared to give the city clerk should it pass. All those in favor? 3 opposed? 2. Oh, you're out. That's up. Okay, I'm going to call the question again. Please be very concise about how you put your hands up in the air. I mean, this just, or this. Okay, I saw you put your hand up in favor. All right. All those opposed, or excuse me, all those in favor of the motion? 2 opposed? 3. Okay. Still haven't done anything with it. It's still hanging out there. You haven't denied the development. I'll give it one more shot. Someone care to make another motion?
Motion to deny the request.
It would be nice if you turned your microphone on and put it down, please.
Motion to deny the request. The application.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, let's discuss that. Any discussion on the motion to deny the consideration of a development community impact for 5208 Peachtree Boulevard? Very good, then we have a motion to...
Hold on. So you're denying, essentially you're denying the variations.
What I have in mind for Peachtree Boulevard is design elements that are more consistent with some of the other projects that have been presented to council. I am fully in favor of self-storage with retail or office fronting. I don't like the design. I think it looks like a self-storage facility that might happenstance have retail or other uses inside it. I don't think there's any market for retail. I think right now it's going to be a self-storage facility with empty storefronts out front. I think the design elements are very critical, and this is just not an application that I want to support. I support the use. I just don't support the look. I don't think it ingratiates what we're trying to do on balance with the rest of the development that's been approved.
Let me ask you this question, Tom. Did you have this conversation with anybody on the architectural review board?
No, I did not.
Because
I had a chance to attend the ARB meeting.
That's the purview really of the architectural review board, and that's why we appoint them to do that particular job, is to look at the architectural style and construction of the building,
Sure.
so that you can rely on that. And I believe the architectural review board worked with them on a deferral and then on and then bringing it back. It just so you're not in agreement with the architectural review board? Okay. Is there any other discussion on this item? You can do whatever you want, Brian. I don't know that you can defer it again. Is the development community impact area? What's the ruling on that? It's been deferred once or twice already.
Only a variance has that provision in 60 days.
So technically speaking, Brian, if you care to defer it another month, that is your prerogative. But I would need a motion to that regard.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to defer this to the June work session.
Second.
Okay, so now we have a substitute motion on the table. Discussion on deferring this until the June work session. So in reverse order, I'll pick them up off the table. Those wishing to vote in favor of the deferral until the June work session, please signify by raising your hand. I passed unanimously, which makes it a moot point to pick up the other motion that will just languish out there forever, die alone with death. Next item on the agenda then is number 4, consideration of variance request for 2050 Will Ross Court. Again, we have several variances on this, which is A through I. You can take it however you want.
I'd like to make a motion to approve variance 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9.
Just as is, or is there any staff recommendation on that?
As recommended by staff.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So let's have discussion on that item then.
Say those numbers again.
1, 2, 5,
Hold on a second. Okay, yeah, okay, I see that now. All right, I'm sorry, I was going off of the agenda letter. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 5, you're correct. 1, 2, 5.
7, 8, and 9. Basically, the only thing that we would be denying is we would be having the fence removed and requiring the landscaping in the front.
At this point, you're not denying anything, so the motion before you, and I'll just go ahead and restate it, and then it belongs to the body, is the fact. We have a motion then to approve with staff recommendations, variance 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9 for 2050 Will Ross Court. Any other discussion of this item? All those in favor? Passed unanimously. So we still have 3, 4, and 6 left to go.
Motion to deny variances number 3, 4, and 6 as recommended by staff.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item? So we have a motion to deny variance 3, 4, and 6 for 2050 Will Ross Court. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. Okay, we have consideration of variance request at 3453 Pierce Drive. We have, again, I'll go off the numbers. Sorry, I was reading the agenda. The numbers are 1 through 10, unless there's something on the next page, 13. So we have variances 1 through 13 on 3453 Pierce Drive. As Brian pointed out, you can all take these together, individually, in groups. Whatever suits your pleasure.
I have a proposal. I have a motion. It's a little confusing because we have two properties here. One is 3453 and one is 3467. So let me find my place here. On the property of 3453, variance number 1, motion to approve.
Well, and Leslie, I'm going to stop you kind of mid-motion because right now there does not appear to be, there's consideration of variance request for 3467 Pierce Drive, which is a next agenda item. So we're just talking about 3453. I just want to make sure we're clear on that, right? We're just, okay. All right, so approval of variance 1.
I think I have the addresses backwards on here, so let me be sure about that.
Okay.
53 is the electric building?
It's easier to get it right now than try to unwind it
You're
later.
absolutely right. 53. Unfortunately, they're listed together here. 3467. 3467 has 3 variance requests, and I motioned to...
But we're not on that agenda item though yet, Leslie. We are on
Okay, we're on 3453.
3453, yes, ma'am.
Let me go back one more time. Yes, this is the hard one. Okay, motion to approve variance number 1. Motion to approve variance number 2 with the condition that the impervious area not exceed 83%. Motion to approve variance number 3 in conjunction with variance number 2 so that the percentages match. Number 3 deals with the pervious space. Motion to approve variance number 4. Motion to approve variance number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Motion to approve variance number 11, subject to the following conditions. Client agrees to work with city staff and rail trail design team to install that portion of the rail trail that lies on the above-mentioned property, and in addition to plant additional trees elsewhere on 2 properties to increase shading and green space. And then motion to approve number 12 and number 13.
Second.
All right, discussion?
Yeah, are the 83% and 17%, are those exact opposites? So is it by default?
Yes, sir, we can work that out.
Okay.
And Gary, did those coincide with staff recommendations anyway, or is that's different? I don't have that. for now.
Close. You know, we were recommending that they take the impervious surface back down to 80, and they're at 82 or something like that.
So it was 83, and then what was the number 3? Was it 17? 17?
Yeah.
Okay. So that, okay, all right, I got that.
That works.
Okay, very good. Other questions or discussions?
Were those subject to staff conditions on the ones where there were staff conditions recommend approval and conditional staff?
So on variance item 11, you're asking to work with staff, or you're asking them to go ahead and
Work with staff to install.
To install?
Yes.
And you clarified to work with staff. What does that mean? We're not allocating city funds for this?
No, but our staff and our rail trail design team have come up with proposals for this property, for the rail trail part of this property, and I would like to see that.
So to be clear, you're asking them to then install that portion of the rail trail according to what the staff directs them to do on this.
That was one part of it. What about the trees?
They are not putting islands, as many islands in, and therefore not as many trees in one of the parking lots. And I'm suggesting that they take that requisite number of trees and install them elsewhere.
I totally agree with that. Does that need to be quantified?
You know, the landscaping was a percentage of land. That doesn't tell me a count of trees.
So what I think between the two of them, which is scary for me to try to think between the two of them, but it is that the number of trees that would have been required had they placed a tree every 10 parking spots, whatever that number is on top of what the landscaping requirement is. Is that what you were getting at? Okay.
I feel like we can work that out.
Yes.
Should we hear from the applicant to see if that's possible, if there are any comments that...
Well, if they can't place them on the property, then they could put them in the tree bank, correct?
And there's a method for calculating that?
What's that?
Would we
Yes, there is.
motion?
No,
Or pay for the tree bank?
that's yeah. Or you can say we're to play into the tree bank, but that's typically understood. But that's fine. I like as much clarification as possible.
If it pleases the mayor, the applicant would like to say something,
Yes.
if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Gary Matthews, Parkside Partners. We own several properties here in Chamblee. The only clarification I'd like to make, and I appreciate staff and obviously council considering this, is we don't own the property that bisects each of these tracks. And we've agreed to work with the rail trail consultant and the Chamblee staff to remove basically parking rights that we have within that track. But we don't want to be forced to build the rail trail. We have no idea what that could look like. We're just saying we'll step away, give up.
Who owns that, Gary?
That's part of the town home development.
That bisects those properties. They own that spur.
They do.
Have you tried to purchase it from them?
We
They
have
want
not.
it in the city.
It's tied up in their zoning.
So my suggestion would be that you, as part of your condition, be that either the city owns that property or that the developer purchased that property from the folks that own it.
Yeah, but how can we say that the city owns that property?
Because Tom just said that they offered to give it to the city. I have no knowledge of that.
They offered to give it to the city because they didn't want to maintain what is that little cavernous sort of gully.
Well, there's that part, but then that part is not on their property. The part they're talking about is the part that bisects their property.
Yeah, like I said, we've worked with Heath and Lineback to put in our thoughts of how that trail should go through between the two properties. But we obviously don't want to have a condition that we have to build any portion of that. All we're saying is we would give up whatever rights we have to that space. That's one clarification.
Okay, thank you.
He's willing to give us the rights to an easement so the city can put it in a later time.
So, Tom, we had a discussion Thursday night when you weren't here. The problem with that gets to be that then there are cars parked on that easement regardless of what anybody says, and we have that condition going on right now. Then you go to invoke that easement, and the city's the bad person because there's cars parking on it, even though I had the discussion 14 years ago on a particular piece of property where we're trying to put a trail right now. And then the city becomes the bad person for whenever you put it in. So just having an easement and
So
then people park on it.
Have an easement and restrict the parking then. I'm just trying to throw out some
You can
ideas.
do what you want, but
I don't think it needs to have parking ever on it, because that's where we haven't got into this. It needs to be, if it's just a grass strip.
so Leslie, would you care to amend your motion in any way there?
Yeah, I would. Let me remove, okay. The client agrees to work with the city staff and the rail trail city staff. I don't think we need to worry about the rail trail design team and with the ownership of this property, but to work with city staff and the property owners of this easement to ensure that the city has the right to develop it as a rail trail and restrict parking on it permanently.
I don't know that you can do that.
Okay, we'll take that part out.
Well, so here's the bottom line. Somebody's going to park on it, and then you're going to take away that parking at some point when you put in the rail trail.
That's not necessarily so. If you've got a chain across the thing or whatever it takes to restrict parking on it.
Can I ask a question of the applicant?
Sure.
Do you have the ability to put in any means of restricting parking, be it ground structures or anything else within your rights in the easement?
If I'm following your question, would we be able to put a curb or something to prevent us accessing that? I think we can, yes.
A curb or bollards even. I would hate to see you put a curb in and then have to have it ripped out.
Yeah, well, the way the parking lot could work is that we could keep cars from.
Gary, let me ask a question. What is your aversion to putting in that portion of the rail trail? I can't imagine that it's that overly costly.
It's just the timing and who knows when that would hit.
So we require people to put in sidewalks to nowhere all the time.
Mhm.
Because we have a larger vision that at some point all those sidewalks are going to connect. If somebody would have started doing that 50 years ago, we'd have sidewalks everywhere in the city. So my question is, what's the aversion to go ahead and putting it in, knowing that the city is moving forward at a pretty rapid pace of putting in the rail trail all at the same time right now?
I guess just the nuances of building on somebody else's property. It's not public.
Also, what if the council made it a condition that either Parkside Partners, this Parkside Partners project, that Parkside Partners or the city acquire the rights to that property? Because at first I'm hearing from Tom that I don't doubt that it's true, that the property owner tried to give it away already.
That would be, what happens if you guys are unable to do that? Or
Well, then you would be not required to put in the trail at that time.
Okay.
But again, if we can't get it, then the trail doesn't come through there anyway, and it doesn't matter who parks on it.
Right.
But if we do, you do.
But if it's somehow prior to you completing your project are able to, either the city or you, Parkside Partners, could acquire that property, then y'all would work with the city to put that portion of the trail in.
We can definitely do that, as long as it has some sort of timeline associated.
Right. So the challenge is not, look, I know you guys have done great things in our city, and we're very appreciative of that. That's why, so the aversion really is the ownership of the property. You don't want to tie yourself to being required to do something on property you don't own.
That's correct.
I get it.
And having any approvals tied to that.
I get it. So if there's a time frame that's put on it prior to you being ready to get your CO, and something hasn't been worked out, then that doesn't keep you from getting your CO.
Correct. And the fallback can be that we're committed to not parking. That's fine. We can give up the parking.
It's just a history lesson. That's all.
Yeah.
You understand as well as I do what we're dealing with.
I definitely understand that.
And it doesn't turn out to be Parkside Partners. It turns out to be the tenants that are in there that at some point are used to parking there, and then for whatever reason, they're not aware of the fact that that was going to be a trail, and they can't park there any longer, and now they're upset.
That's right.
I would like to avoid that.
No, I'm fine with that as well. And that's why I think the better condition would be for us just say we're not going to park on that.
What is that strip now? Isn't it stand of trees and stuff now?
It's 100% paved currently.
Yeah, it's all parking lot.
Yeah.
So I said, turning in a rail trail shouldn't be that big a deal.
No, well, once it's finally designed, I agree with you.
No, I understand that, Gary. I'm just saying that I'm trying to get to the bottom of your version of doing this, and it's my understanding, and I completely understand why you shouldn't be required to do something on property you don't own.
That's right.
Okay? But if there's a stipulation that says that Parkside Partners or the city of Chamblee come to own that prior to the issuance of CO for your property, then Parkside Partners will put that in as part of their development. Because it's much easier to put it in now than to come back in later and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, well, I would agree on new construction, but since this is an adaptive reuse project, we're not doing a lot of land disturbance on the site. So to come back, the day before we finish the CO, for instance, and say, hey, we've acquired it, now you've got to put it in, well, we got to go back through the permitting process with the design.
Well, I don't know that that's the case, Gary. I mean, if it's part of is that the case?
We still would have to have some form of permit to do
So how
that.
far out are you from getting your CO? I mean, how far out do you suspect that you would be on your development process to getting a CO?
Just when.
How long? What is your time frame to wanting to be able to lease space and have occupants in there?
All right, we're, our civil engineer, we were presumptive, and thought you guys may work with us. So they're going to plan on submitting for LDP as soon as next week. So again, it's adaptive reuse. We should make our way through that process very quickly, start base building improvements within 3 months, and it's approximately a 4-month renovation.
So if what Mr. Hogan says, and I have no reason to believe he's not correct, and that the people who actually own the property don't want the property, it shouldn't be that difficult to pick up a piece of property. If not, we'll know pretty soon.
Don't forget the people that made that statement, though, have been acquired by a larger company at this point.
I'm just trying to look at you.
Gary, would you be comfortable with the best efforts provision?
I'm sorry.
Would you be comfortable with the best efforts provision that you'll make best efforts to acquire the property and implement the rail trail instead of saying it's mandated?
No, we can definitely have discussions with them. But I think that the better condition, guys, would be just to prevent parking.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. We appreciate you being here. All right, so right now, Leslie, I won't repeat the motion. I think I've got it pretty well set. But the thing that, of all of the different items, 1 through 13, the one I'm still vague on of all of those is number 11. So if you care to restate that, and then we have a second. Whoever had the second would need to restate their second. Who was that? And who had the second on that? Tommy?
Well, it's hard to restate this, considering I definitely want to take out that the applicant be required to install the rail trail at a certain date before he gets his CO. I would also, in that the ownership of that property is so nebulous right now, I don't want to hogtie the applicant in that way and interfere with his, ability to proceed with his. Can we take variance 11 and consider it later, at a later date?
Would you be willing to remove variance 11 from your prior motion and address it separately?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, so-
Is that a friendly amendment?
Well, okay, so it's friendly amendment. And she's okay with it. So you seconded it, Tom. Are you all right with that? Okay. So the way I understand it now, then, for consideration variant request for 3453 Pierce Drive, we have a motion for approval with staff recommendations on number 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. And then with staff, motion also to approve variance number 2 and 3, with 2 being a 83% and variance number 3 at 17%.
Correct.
All those in favor? All right, so we still have variance number 11 to take up. Bless you. Somebody.
I'd like to make a motion to approve variance 11 with the conditions of staff and with the following conditions: that the design be built in a way that discourages parking or prohibits parking, and that the applicant agree to enter into an easement agreement for the future development of the Chamblee Rail Trail. That's it, Chamblee Rail Trail.
For a second.
Second.
Okay, first of all, first thing I noticed, I don't think they give you easement across property, they don't have rights. They don't have rights.
Don't they own, is there a portion of it on their property?
No, they don't own it. See, so I don't think it's the piece that,
Okay.
they don't,
That's not the piece I'm thinking about then.
right, they don't own this piece of property.
I would like to offer a friendly amendment to remove the piece about granting an easement.
Do what?
To remove the portion about them granting an easement.
Tommy, all right with that?
Yeah.
And who was the second on that? So I'm going to repeat this, and Tom, if I get it wrong, let me know, but it was a motion to approve variance number 11 with staff conditions and also the condition that that barriers be placed to prohibit parking on the area of the property that Parkside Partners does not own, i.e. the rail trail. Yeah. Very good. All those in favor? That passed unanimously.
Can we go home now?
We're getting close. We have then now 3467 Pierce Drive, which is, right next door on the other side of such said unowned property.
Okay. I'll take an easy one. Motion to deny variance 1. And that is because the applicant is now meeting that requirement, no longer needs the variance.
Second.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this item? We have a motion and a second then to deny variance number 1. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. We have variance number 2.
Motion to approve variance number 2
Second.
Were there any staff recommendations?
with the staff recommendations.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on that item? I have a motion second then to approve variance number 2 for 3467 Pierce Drive with staff recommendations. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. We have variance number 3.
Motion to approve variance number 3 with staff recommendations.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? We have a motion and second then to approve variance number 3 at 3467 Pierce Drive with staff recommendations. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. All right, skipping right along, and we won't stop to notice that F is for finance. And we will move on to H for economic development. Consideration of an intergovernmental agreement with the Chamblee DDA.
Motion to approve the IGA between the city and the DDA to acquire property at 5442 Peachtree Road and to appropriate an amount not to exceed $44,900 from the host fund.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Brian, is that outlined in the material that you
Yes,
have?
sir,
Or
it
is that
is.
just like staff, I just say staff recommended and?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Yes, Travis.
Actually, staff would like to change its recommendation. We were looking at it today and realized that the figures there are probably best case scenario figures. I think it quoted a amount of $32,900 for the payments for the rest of the year. We'd like to increase that to $40,000 just to be on the safe side, so that we don't have to come back later towards the end of the year on that.
So what was, Travis, what was the second figure? 12,000? I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, the second figure was
So,
12,000.
52,000?
52,000, yes.
Okay, so
You care to amend your motion?
I will amend the motion not to exceed $52,000 from the host fund.
Very good. Is
My
there,
second still stands.
is there any other discussion? The motion is second then to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Chamblee Downtown Development Authority as recommended by staff with an amount not to exceed at this point now $52,000. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. Joe, we have some first reads, and I think some of them might be kind of long.
That's fine. Well, I've got a question for staff before we go into first read.
Go ahead.
Were we able to incorporate any of the changes that were discussed at the work session?
A number of these were discussed at the work session, yes, sir, but not all. I'm working on the others for you.
Right.
The three specifically that were discussed surrounding apartment sizes, easement width for private streets, and curbs and gutters, were any of those changes made?
The apartment size was made.
To
Curb and gutters hasn't been made yet. It hasn't been put before you, but it will be.
So, Darren, things can be changed between first and second read. So, we'll listen. Okay, very good. Joe,
motion to allow the city attorney to read headings only.
Second.
any discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second to allow city attorney to read headings only. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. All right, Joe, you've got a couple here to read.
Several, there are four, they're all first readings, so no vote would be required. The first ordinance is to amend chapter 110 rather, definitions, including accessory buildings, higher buildings, principal buildings, green space, late night establishments, non-residential use, pre-development, and residential property. That's all on number 01. On 02, it is to amend provision of chapter 230, which standards apply to all districts. First one is about maximum impervious surfaces in the NR1. That changes from 40 to 45%. In NR2, maximum impervious surface shall be changed from 50 to 55%. And then in lot size, minimum square feet in NR2, that'll be changed from 5,000 feet to 6,000. Part 2 is standards applying to all districts and zoning provisions, dimensional standards of zoning districts. Basically, that was mostly deleted, I believe. Part 3 is provisions of chapter 230, standards applying to all districts that concerns minimum street frontage, amends that concerning landlocked lots, and also 20-foot wide access easements to publicly maintained streets or single-family dwellings, or 30-foot access for publicly maintained streets for any other use. Part 4, provisions of 230, standards applying to all districts. Again, zoning provisions. This concerns hedges, fences, and walls. Concerns how they're constructed, or rather what the fence is made of. Split rail, wood, aluminum. I think aluminum is added. Decorative fences constructed of brick, stone, stucco, split wood, aluminum, wrought iron shall be permitted in all districts. Part 5, again, provisions of chapter 230, no standards apply to all districts. Hedges, fences, and walls. Chain link where permitted shall be vinyl coated black or green. Standards applying to all districts, section 230, chapter 230, zoning provisions concerning corner visibility has to do with corner walls and the triangular area formed by the intersection of the right-of-way lines. You can't have your shrubs more than 3 feet in height, I believe that reads. And the measurement between the 2 points is down from 25 to 20 feet. Chapter 230, standards applying to all district storefront streets. This sidewalk level uses with street frontage on storefront streets shall only be used for restaurants, sales of rental goods, merchandise, equipment establishments, non-motor vehicles, banks and financial institutions or offices, not to include drive-through facilities, and those uses shall be provided a minimum depth of 40 feet from any building facade. That's the end of number 02. 03 is another revision to chapter 240, general use provisions. The table of permitted and prohibited uses includes manufacturing operations, craft breweries, craft distilleries, keeping of animals, veterinarians, including animal hospitals. Part 2, provisions of chapter 240, supplemental use provisions, multifamily residences. The minimum heated and finished floor area for multifamily dwelling units shall be for studios 650 square feet, 1 bedrooms 850, 2 bedrooms 1,000, 3 bedrooms 1,200 square feet per unit. Part 3 is another supplemental use standard. Multifamily residences, common walls and common floor ceiling between units shall be constructed to meet sound transmission coefficient rating of 50 or higher. Part 4 is concerning manufacturing, craft brewery in supplemental use standards. Those can be now a maximum of 20,000 feet. It was 15,000. And then the supplemental use standards for manufacturing, craft distillery would be amended also to be 20,000 square feet. Part 6, again, supplemental use standards. This is for storage and parking, storage facilities, climate control. A minimum of 75% of the street frontage of a climate-controlled self-storage facility shall consist of leased uses that should be limited to retail sales, offices, commercial services, or restaurant uses, not including drive-through services, and are directly related to the sales and operations of the self-storage facility. That's all on 0304, Part 1. This concerns Chapter 350, infrastructure, streets and sidewalks. Driveways, driveway width shall be a maximum of 24 feet for two-way entrances or shared driveways, 20 feet for one-way entrances. 350 infrastructure, subparagraph 1 shall be amended as follows, but it doesn't say how it's amended. I'll make this be deleted. Part 3, supplemental use provisions. Private streets are permitted. Says private streets are prohibited except subject to approval by the city manager. The city manager may impose conditions on approval of private streets. Provisions of Chapter 240, supplemental use provisions, easement for private streets shall be amended. The amendment has to do with the exception for private streets used exclusively for single-family attached dwellings, which must be constructed on easement with a minimum of 40 feet. Part 5, provisions of Chapter 350, infrastructure, streets and sidewalks concerns curbing. Existing granite curbing shall be preserved and reused except when new curbing is required by the Public Works Department. When an existing street that has existing granite curbing is improved, the extended or rebuilt curbing for such street improvement, extension, or reconstruction shall be granite curbing of similar size and type as the granite curbing used on such existing street. And new curbing, concrete must be Class A, 3,000 PSI, up to 28 days cure. And that is all on that except for severability clause, which all of those had, and that's the first reading.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Matt.
So we have no second readings this evening? Okay, very good. So moving on to mayor and council items, there were a whole bunch of gold stars the other night with no names, but now Councilmember Hogan asked me to pause at his name, so I will do that this time.
I'd like to ask council to suspend the rules so that I can add an item to the agenda.
Second.
John.
All right, so I have a motion, a second, to suspend the rules to add an item to the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor? Passed unanimously.
I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda called Proclamation from the City of Chamblee to Interactive College of Technology.
Second.
Any discussion? I have a motion, a second, then to add the item to the agenda, referring to the interactive proclamation for Interactive College of Technology as stated by Councilmember Hogan. All those in favor? Passed unanimously.
Motion to approve the following proclamation from the City of Chamblee to Interactive College of Technology. Whereas Interactive College of Technology was established in Georgia in 1983 and has been located in Chamblee since 1995 and has graduated over 60,000 students who have successfully completed academic programs preparing them for viable careers in office technology, computer science, HVACR, technology, and English as a second language. And whereas the Interactive College of Technology has developed and implemented innovative high-tech training programs designed to meet the advanced employment and technical needs of area businesses, industrial and government entities, providing ESL programs to the students from over 90 nations has made the Interactive College of Technology one of the nation's largest providers of this need. And whereas the City of Chamblee recognizes that Interactive College of Technology and its commitment to the advancement of its students and society, and the City of Chamblee appreciates Interactive College of Technology for their demonstrated vision and innovation. And whereas the City of Chamblee recognizes that Interactive College of Technology provides employment to over 120 employees and is responsible for nearly 2,000 patrons to the City of Chamblee each day. Now, whereas the City of Chamblee recognizes that the recent expansion of Interactive College of Technology campus has been completed in such a manner that adds to the quality and aesthetics of the city. Now, therefore, let it be known that the Mayor and the City Council do hereby recognize Interactive College of Technology and call this observance to the attention of Chamblee citizens.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. Any discussion? I have a motion, a second, then to approve the resolution Councilmember Hogan just read. All those in favor? Passed unanimously. Councilmember Mock. We have a
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a resolution on the table to support the tax allocation district for the city of Doraville. It's in the agenda packet. You should have received it yesterday, and it's posted online, so it's okay. I won't read the whole thing.
You don't need to read it, you just need to make a motion to adopt it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution in support of the tax allocation district for the city of Doraville, and urging the DeKalb County School District Board's consideration.
Second.
I heard Leslie first, but maybe my right ear is just better than my left. I don't know. All right, so we have a motion second then. Any discussion? So a motion second then to adopt a resolution, the mayor and city council of the city of Chamblee supporting the city of Doraville tax allocation district 1 and urging the DeKalb County School District's favorable consideration. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. All right, citizen comments. You got 15 minutes. No, just kidding. 3 minutes of fame. Metro up your microphone. Tell us who you are, where you live, what's on your mind. Not all at once. All right, then I will say something. I'm just going to go off on a flyer and say that we've got Jody. Jody, how do you pronounce your last name? Gilfillan. Jody, we stand up just for a moment, please. Jody is our new Parks and Recreation Director. We wanted to welcome her. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You come highly recommended. All right, very good. Then I believe we have an executive session.
Motion to exit.
No.
Nope, motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right,
Motion to,
Exit executive session.
exit. Second.
very good. We have a motion and a second to exit executive session. All those in favor? All right, John, are you in favor of exiting? We'll put your hand in there, please. Thank you. All right, very good. So now we're back into the regular session.
Mr. Mayor, I have two motions. I'll take them one at a time.
Yes, sir.
Motion to accept the city manager's notice of intent to retire with a bonus of 4 months' salary in recognition of his 4 decades of service, contingent upon a release to be approved by the city attorney.
Second.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this item? Very good. So we have motion second then as read by Councilmember Mock, who will give that information to the city clerk. All those in favor? That passes. 4 in favor, opposed? 1. That passes 4-1.
Motion to employ Jonathan Walker as city administrator according to the terms of the contract as revised.
Second.
Very good. Is there discussion on this item? We have motion second then to approve what Councilmember Mock just read, and we'll give it to the city clerk. All those in favor? 4. Opposition? 1. That will pass 4-1. Very good. We're going to go get out of here. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? That passes. Thank you all for coming out.